Do you love chocolate? Do you love frozen desserts? Well, you are going to adore my frozen chocolate cream tart. It is an elevated version of a chocolate cream pie. You don't need an ice cream maker, and the ingredients are relatively simple. So you've got a crumb crust, a creamy chocolate frozen filling, and then of course, a cream topping to just give it a bit of polish. So I'm going to kick things off by melting the chocolate for the filling. So I've got my couverture baking chocolate already weighed out, and you can melt it directly in the pot because it will be protected by condensed milk. So this recipe takes 1 tin of condensed milk, a 300 ml tin, but I'm going to withhold 60 ml of it for the cream topping. I'm melting this combination over low heat, and the condensed milk protects the chocolate, so you don't need a water bath. It just saves you a little bit of time. While the chocolate melts, I can work on the crumb crust. And layering the chocolate, I'm using chocolate cookie crumbs. You could easily use graham crumbs, digestive biscuits. How about Biscoff? Anything that sort of pairs well with chocolate. And I'll add to that, just like making a cheesecake crust, a little melted butter. And just give that a good stir. Rough and crumbly, but not too greasy. You don't want to put too much butter in your crust. I'm using a 9-inch fluted tart pan with a removable bottom, so that's why it's technically a frozen chocolate cream tart as opposed to a pie. You can make this recipe in a regular pie plate, but keep in mind, because you can't remove the bottom to extract the tart or pie easily, line the bottom of the pie plate with parchment paper. You will thank me later. This goes into the pan. While I'm thinking of it, I'm going to give the chocolate a little stir, just starting to melt a little bit. Okay, while that melts, I'll finish my crumb crust. I find it easier to get the sides just right and then spread the remaining crumb in the bottom of the crust. Let me give my chocolate another stir. Okay, you will find as your chocolate melts with the condensed milk, it thickens up a little bit. Oh, so decadent. And there is no additional sugar in this recipe. It's just the sugar that's in the condensed milk. I want to transfer this to a bowl to give it a few minutes to cool. I'll spread it out a little bit. I'll set this aside. And while that's cooling a little bit, I'm going to pop this crust in the freezer to set. It doesn't have to set in the freezer for a fixed amount of time, just while you're preparing your other ingredients. My chocolate still feels just a little warm. It only needs a minute more so I can get the cream topping ready for this cream tart. I have my reserved condensed milk. I'm going to put that in a bowl. I've whipped up my full cream measurement, and that gets divided between the chocolate base and the cream topping. When you whip cream, it doubles in volume. So my 1.5 cups of fluid whipping cream makes about 3 cups of whipped cream. So you can just eyeball this if you want, and I want to put about a cup of the whipped cream into my condensed milk. Along with a little of the vanilla. And then I think I'll switch to a little mini whisk here. There we go. I know I had one. This is one of those tools. You may not use it a lot, but when you need it, you've got it. So the reason I'm using the condensed milk in the whipped cream, as opposed to just simply adding icing sugar or sugar and a little skim milk powder, is the condensed milk will prevent this whipped cream from crystallizing when you freeze it. If you were to just put whipped cream in the freezer, it would get a crunchiness to it. It would have ice crystals in it, and that is not what I'm after. So you can set this aside. Just pop it in the fridge if you wish. I'll do that in a second when I'm going to get my tart shell. And now I'm ready to fold in my cream into my cooled chocolate. So first I'll start with a small addition. And because I'm adding cold cream to a melted chocolate mixture, you do want to work relatively quickly, and you don't have to be that delicate about it. The filling will actually turn a little bit fluid as you're combining your ingredients. I want it to smooth out. In fact, just like using the little whisk, I'm going to make use of my whip attachment. Whether it's egg whites or cream folded into a base, you tend to sacrifice that first addition to lighten up the base so that the rest of the cream, or sometimes if it's a meringue that you're adding, does hold its volume and holds the air in. You can see how much easier that is to fold in. And while I finish folding, I have my last little addition of vanilla. If you wanted to flavor this up with either an extract, or if you wanted a spirit flavor, like a little orange liqueur or Irish cream, you could add up to 2 tablespoons without changing the consistency of your tart base. So you can see it's mousse-like, but it's also quite soft. So let me pop my cream in the fridge and grab that tart shell from the freezer. Here we go. And all I simply do is pour this luscious cream filling into the shell. It doesn't take a lot to get it level and spread. Just let it settle into place. I don't fuss with it too much. In total, you want to freeze this dessert a minimum of 4 hours. And of course, you can make this a day, 2 days ahead. But before you put the cream topping on, you need to give the chocolate layer a chance to set. And that takes about a minimum of 2 hours. Ooh, I have a very well chilled tart right now. So the base is really starting to set. And now I have my cream topping. You can, of course, just simply dollop it, but it does take on a nice look if you want to pipe it. Takes a light hand, since it's cream, not buttercream. I didn't want to overdo it with the whipped cream in proportion to the chocolate. We want to keep this all about the chocolate. So you could go for a traditional ring if you want. I'm just going to pipe some rosettes. A couple larger ones. This could suit sprinkles. You could put even a drizzle of just a little bit of that chocolate sauce on top if you wish. But quite frankly, I think this is pretty as is. I'm gonna pop it back in the freezer to continue setting. And here is the frozen tart. It hasn't changed, shouldn't really, being in the freezer. And now to take it out of the pan. Oh, it's already sliding. See, with a pie plate, you can't do that. So you want to make sure you can get your slices out cleanly. And now it's time to slice and serve some of this delicious tart. The nice thing about it is even if it sits out for a little bit, it still holds its shape. The chocolate is set, the cream is set, so it doesn't turn into a puddle. Here we go. Oh, look at that. It's light, but you can tell it has intense chocolate flavor. It's wonderfully creamy thanks to the condensed milk. You've got the cream topping, and now we've elevated a chocolate cream pie and frozen it on top of that. I hope you'll give this recipe a try. Even though it takes a little time with the freezing, the steps themselves are just so simple. And I want you to feel proud of what you make when you share it with your friends and family. So I'll keep delivering recipes, you keep watching, and we'll bake together. Have a great day, everyone. Oh, it's cold. Oh, the filling is so silky and rich. And that cream topping, it's like the lightest vanilla ice cream you could imagine. Going in for more. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.